Let's see, our first story is about this civil suit against the January 6th rally organizers. And like I said, we saw something very similar to this just a few weeks ago. There was a civil suit launched by...
Every moment there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless.
Sued everybody involved for damages, a civil suit. Even though they had no criminal liability, they got sued for the civil liability because people got injured and property was destroyed and things like that. And they lost the case. And now they're ordered by the judge to pay millions of dollars each. All the individual leaders and the groups are on the hook now for millions and millions of dollars. And this is something that is punitive. It's a slap lawsuit. They're making policy out of this. What this is meant to do is to serve as a deterrent when they make a ruling like that, when there's a big civil suit like this. The point is to punish people who engage in a certain activity to deter people from doing it in the future. And so the next time somebody wants to do a rally, the next time somebody wants to do a public thing and say...
If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
Like I said earlier at the top of the show and a moment ago, it's the same as the purpose with Charlottesville. The point of this is to prevent people from ever assembling ever again. And I told you it's not just this. They're doing something else since the Capitol. And this has been my experience. Ever since January 6th now, you have to get a permit when you do a public rally. And in order to get the permit, now you have to get insurance. The problem is, though, that ever since 1/6, when you go to apply for your permit and they ask you for your insurance, there's not one insurance company in America that insures public rallies anymore, that insures political public events like that. And so you're seeing slowly but surely the walls are closing in. It's not just free speech. It's not just being able to speak your mind or express yourself online. It's even your freedom to assemble. Because, you might think, well, if I can't speak my mind on Twitter or on the internet, I'll take it to the streets. Good luck. You need a permit. And to get the permit, you need insurance. And all the insurance companies, which are a cartel, they don't sell the insurance you need anymore. So if you go out and take it to the streets because you can't take it to the timeline, you may be on the hook for $25 million. If something goes wrong, you're not going to be permitted, you're not going to be authorized, and in the event that something happens beyond your control, an act of God, a false flag, the event goes awry, you may be on the hook for millions of dollars and have your entire life destroyed and you're bankrupted. And this is what they want people to think about the next time they dare to protest their government in the streets. So the election was rigged in 2020. If we ever have any concerns about election integrity again, what are we going to do about it? Well, let's see. You can't talk about it online anymore. That's over. You can't post about it on any social media. That kind of line of inquiry just isn't allowed anymore. So that's not going to happen. And if you want to go out into the streets and protest in front of your representatives elected at the state level, you can't do that either. So what are you going to do? Can't go outside, can't go online. What are we supposed to do with our grievances? Lay in bed and scream into a pillow? That's it. And so understand, I've been saying this all year. We don't live in a free country anymore. This is not a free country. We do not have freedom. This is not an open society. This is not a democracy. This is not liberal. And I don't mean in a good way. I mean in a bad way. People compare us all the time to China or Russia. They don't have awesome freedom like we do. What freedom do we enjoy anymore that they don't? People used to say about China, well, they have the Great Firewall. And you can't talk about Tiananmen Square in China. You can't criticize the government online in China. Is it any different in America anymore? Can you criticize the government on any major U.S. social media platform? Really? Not the things that matter. Can you question the efficacy of the vaccine? No. Can you question the results of the election? No. Can you question the official narrative on conspiracies like 9/11 or the Holocaust? No. Can you question? The answer is no. Anything that matters, you can't talk about it. So we're basically even. How about protests? They say in Russia, the protests are beaten and abused. They say that anti-government protests are suppressed and they're not free to demonstrate. Well, how about in America? What did they say about the inauguration of Joe Biden this year? I believe the term that the guy running the investigation into January 6th used on television, on national television, prime time, was shock and awe. He said that he wanted, with the brutality of his investigation into January 6th, the thoroughness, the swiftness, he said that he wanted the investigation into January 6th to be so shocking and so awesome that Trump supporters would be afraid to protest in the national capital on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration. That was the American investigator from the American Department of Justice. So how are we doing on the comparison so far on First Amendment? How are we doing so far on the comparison of free expression? Internet's not so free, and protests aren't either. How about dissidents? They say that, well, Russia goes around the globe killing its dissidents, like they tried to take out Alexei Navalny, and there are other notable ones. And we heard about the prominent journalist, what was his name again? Khashoggi, whatever, who was killed by Saudi Arabia. And people say, well, America doesn't do that. Oh, don't they? According to leaked documents recently, they had plans to assassinate Assange. They would have assassinated Edward Snowden if they could get their hands on him if he didn't take asylum in Russia. Whistleblowers, people that betray the American government, they either get turned into transsexuals like Bradley Manning, or they get hunted down, tortured, or they plan to assassinate them. That's what we do now. This is not a free country. And so for anybody that has any illusions about our democracy and our right to vote and what America's about, now's the time to wake up, because you see what they're doing here. They're going to make it so that it is impossible for American citizens to protest. So riddle me this then. How can we achieve any kind of political reform that we want? How are we supposed to do that? If we don't have a right to raise money, and money is speech, according to Citizens United, right? Zuckerberg Chan Initiative can donate $300 million to get out the vote. We can't use PayPal or Stripe. So we have no right to use banking or payment processing services. We have no right to use mass media, not the conventional media and not the new digital media either. We have no right to demonstrate in public. So how exactly are we supposed to redress our grievances? How exactly are we supposed to be represented in our supposedly representative democratic republic? How is that supposed to work then? Run for office? With what money? With what marketing? With what advertising? How are we supposed to do that? Create some kind of a mass movement? Where? How? If we show up to D.C. or Charlottesville, they're going to try and shock and awe and sue us into bankruptcy. If we try to go on the timeline, they ban us before we can even verify our account with our phone number. Try to raise money. Good luck without PayPal or Stripe. You're using crypto, which they're cracking down on anyway. Lots of luck. And so what then are we supposed to do? What are 70 million people in America who don't like the way the country is being run and don't like the direction we're going in? What exactly are we supposed to do? Because we're not going to disappear. We may not be in D.C., we may not be on Twitter, but we're still alive, we're still in the world. We still go to work, we still exist physically, we still have guns and muscles. What are we supposed to do? While we get replaced by immigrants, while our children are turned transsexual, and we're made addicted to drugs, while we're poisoned in the air, the water, the food, the medicine, what are we supposed to do then in our democracy? They're not really leaving us with a lot of options here. And so people should be paying very close attention to what's happening, because very quickly the door is closing. I mean, think about it this way. Donald Trump runs for office and he wins, and it wasn't supposed to happen. They didn't want him to win. You know, all the institutions were against him. I'm sure they tried to rig it the first time. Absolutely they did. The Billy Bush tape, the rigged debates, all day long. And they screwed him out of a few states. I'm sure he won New Hampshire as an example. But somebody said, I think Darren Beattie said, that his election was a stress test for democracy. It showed that the system worked, Trump won, and we can still achieve reform. Since then, they have made it impossible for Trump to ever happen again. They have made it impossible for anybody that they don't approve to win any election anywhere, for any movement that they don't approve of to get any traction or to spread their message or have any kind of monetary power. How long did that take? 5 years, the course of the Donald Trump presidency. 5 years ago, people could be on Twitter and support Trump. 5 years ago, people could go out in public and rally for Trump. 5 years ago, people could raise money and give small dollar contributions to Trump. None of that is possible anymore. There will be no public demonstrations. There will be no support for Donald Trump on social media. There will be no fundraising through Stripe or PayPal or WinRed or any of it for Donald Trump. There will be no banking services for them. And so if you thought Donald Trump was great and he proved that the system works, well, they made it so that that could never happen again. And doesn't that kind of tell you something? That wasn't supposed to happen. That's not how it's supposed to work. They choose the president. They choose who runs the country. We have no say. Nobody has a say except for the people in Washington, D.C. Except for the same group of people from Harvard and Columbia and Yale and Princeton, and from the same think tanks and the same families, the same last names, same everything. Those are the people that run things. You thought we could have a shot with Trump. Well, guess what? Not only did they take him out, but they eradicated the means that we could ever get Trump again or somebody like Trump again. So make no mistake about it. We live under tyranny. We live under hardcore, leftist, degenerate, satanic, liberal tyranny. That's our life now. So, good luck. That's why I look at Patriot Front's a perfect example. I look at Patriot Front and I just shake my head, because that's just a slap lawsuit waiting to happen, honestly. You bring a group to these things and that's what happens. You get criminal liability, you get civil liability. You bring a group to a demonstration, you invite people out, it's a membership thing. Guess what? You're on the hook for RICO, you're on the hook for conspiracy, you're also on the hook for the Ku Klux Klan Act and all the civil liability that comes with it too. So we just are going to have to think a little bit differently about how to approach this problem. Anybody that thinks it's just a matter of, we just got to get enough votes, we just got to convert enough people, we just got to, what if we all got on the street and... no, it's just going to be a little bit more complicated than that. So that's the January 6th civil suit. They're making freedom of assembly impossible. Make no mistake, that is their intention. That is deliberate. They're going to make it so that we have no right to protest anything. And so how does that make us any different than North Korea? Can't speak, can't protest. Pretty soon they'll come for everything else. Freedom of the press, that's gone, Pretty soon they'll come for our religion and we'll just have no rights.